My girlfriend said, "We broke up months ago. You really thought we were still together?" While I was still paying rent and sleeping beside her, I replied, "Understood," packed my life out of our apartment, and let her believe she'd won. Days later, her sister admitted, "I don't even know where to start with this. I'm sitting in my car at 3 a.m. because I can't bring myself to go back to our apartment right now. What I discovered today has completely turned my world upside down. I'm 28, work night security downtown, finishing my criminal justice degree through community college. I make about $42K a year, not much, but I'm good with money. My girlfriend Sloan and I have been together for 6 years. She works part-time at a boutique, makes around $18K. We've lived together for 3 years, and I cover rent, utilities, and most shared expenses since I make more. Sloan's always been social, goes out with girlfriends Friday nights, weekend trips to visit her sister. I'm more of a homebody between work and school, but I've always supported her social life. I trusted her completely. Yesterday, I was scrolling Instagram when I saw something that made no sense. Our mutual friend Knox had posted photos from a birthday party last weekend. In the background, I could clearly see Sloan kissing some guy I'd never seen before. She was wearing the dress she bought last month for her girls' weekend with college friends. I texted Knox, "Hey man, was Sloan at Jake's party last weekend? Thought she was out of town with college friends." His response hit me like a truck. "Dude, I thought you guys broke up months ago. She's been bringing Dex to everything since February. Did you guys get back together? Broke up months ago? Who the hell is Dex? I've been living with her, sleeping next to her, paying our bills, and apparently everyone thinks we broke up in February." I called Knox immediately. "Knox, what do you mean we broke up? We lived together. We were together last Tuesday when you came by." "Jesus, Jace. Sloan's been telling everyone you guys ended things in February. She said it was mutual and you were figuring out living arrangements, but that she was single and dating around." "We didn't break up. We've been planning a vacation for next month." There was no break, no breakup, nothing. After I hung up, I spent hours going through social media like a detective. For the past 3 months, every time Sloan said she was having a girls' night or visiting her sister, she'd been with this Dex guy. Photos of them at restaurants, concerts, looking like a couple while I was working nights thinking she was just out with friends. But here's what really got to me. She looked happier in those photos than she'd looked with me in months. Like she was living this whole other life where I didn't exist. I also found something that made my blood boil. Sloan's been active on dating apps using photos from our relationship, actual photos from our trips together, but with me cropped out. One photo from our mountain weekend last fall now shows just her on the hiking trail with the caption, "Love exploring new places. This could be you next to me." She's been using our relationship as promotional material for finding my replacement while lying to everyone about our status. I've been sitting in this parking lot for 2 hours trying to process this. How long has she been planning this? How long have I been some kind of joke to our mutual friends? How long have I been paying rent and utilities and groceries for someone who's been telling everyone she's single? She's supposed to be back tomorrow evening from her weekend with college friends, which I now realize is probably a romantic weekend with Dex. I don't know how to even bring this up without losing my mind. Update 1. I decided to use the weekend while she was gone to get my affairs in order and figure out exactly what I was dealing with. First thing I did was call her sister Mara. Sloan and I have always gotten along well with Mara. She's been to our apartment several times, knows we live together, seemed to like me. I figured if anyone would tell me the truth about what Sloan has been saying, it would be her. "Mara, this is Jace. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." "Oh hey Jace, what's up? Has Sloan told you that we broke up?" There was this long pause. Why are you asking?" "Because I just found out she's been telling our mutual friends we broke up months ago, and I'm trying to figure out how widespread this lie is." "Oh God, Jace. This is really awkward. Just tell me the truth, Mara. Please." "She told me and Mom that you guys ended things in February because you were being too controlling about her social life. She said you wouldn't let her go out with friends and that you were making her feel trapped." I nearly dropped the phone. Controlling? Mara, I've never tried to control her social life. I encourage her to go out. I pay for her Ubers home when she goes out drinking so she doesn't have to worry about getting back safely. I know this is weird to hear, but she said you'd been fighting a lot and that you were threatening to kick her out if she didn't stop seeing her friends. That's completely made up. We haven't been fighting, and I've never threatened to kick her out. We live together, split expenses, sleep in the same bed every night. How did she explain that part? She said you were still figuring out the living arrangements, but that she was looking for her own place. This was insane. Sloane had created an entire fictional narrative where I was the controlling boyfriend she'd bravely left, when in reality I'd been supporting her financially and emotionally while she cheated on me and lied to everyone about our relationship. Mara, she's been lying to you. We're together. We've been together this whole time. She just told me yesterday morning that she loves me before she left for her trip. This doesn't make any sense. She's been asking Mom for money to help with rent because her roommate situation wasn't working out. And there it was. Sloane had been telling her family she needed financial help because her living situation was unstable, while I'd been paying 100% of our rent and expenses. She was double-dipping, getting money from me and from her family by lying about our relationship status. After I hung up with Mara, I called my buddy Wade from work. Wade's been through a messy divorce, and he's pretty practical about relationship stuff. Wade, I need your help with something, and I need you to not ask too many questions until I explain everything. What's going on, brother? Sloane's been cheating on me and lying about our relationship status for months. She's out of town until tomorrow night, and I need to get my stuff out and cut ties completely before she gets back. Jesus, what do you need? Help moving and a place to crash for a few days while I figure out housing. Done. When do we start? I spent the rest of Saturday methodically extracting myself from Sloane's life. I took photos of everything in our apartment for documentation, packed all my belongings, and moved them to Wade's place. I removed my name from the lease. Fortunately, we were month to month and I only had to give 30 days notice. I canceled all the utilities that were in my name: electric, gas, internet, cable. I called our landlord and explained that I was moving out and would not be responsible for any damages or unpaid rent after October 15th. I also went to our bank and closed our shared checking account, transferring my money to a new account at a different bank. That account only had about $800 in it anyway, money I'd deposited for our shared expenses. So it's not like I was taking anything that was really hers. The hardest part was dealing with our dog, Rusty. He's technically mine. I adopted him before Sloane and I moved in together. He's microchipped in my name, and I pay for all his vet bills. But Sloane loves him, and I knew taking him would hurt her. Still, I couldn't leave him with someone who'd been lying to me for months, and would probably forget to feed him once the drama started. By Sunday evening, it was like I'd never lived there. All my furniture, my clothes, my books, my kitchen stuff, even my houseplants, everything was gone. I left her stuff untouched, but removed anything that was mine or that I'd paid for. The apartment looked completely different with just her belongings. I wrote a short note and left it on the kitchen counter. Sloane, I know about Dex. I know about the lies you've been telling everyone about us being broken up. I know about the dating apps. I'm done. Don't contact me. The utilities will be shut off Monday since they were in my name. The landlord knows I'm moving out. Your half of this month's rent is covered, but after that, it's your responsibility. Jace. I left my key on top of the note, took one last look around, and walked out. This morning I got a call from Mara. Jace. Sloane called me crying, asking if I could send her money for the electric bill. She said her roommate moved out suddenly and stuck her with all the utilities. Should I? No, Mara. Don't send her money. She's 26 years old and has been lying to you for months about our relationship. It's time for her to figure out how to support herself. But what if she can't afford rent? Then she'll have to find a cheaper place or move back home. That's not my problem anymore, and it shouldn't be yours either. Sloane's been calling and texting me non-stop since she got back last night. But I've blocked her number. She tried calling from different numbers, but I'm not answering anything I don't recognize. I know she's probably panicking because her whole setup just collapsed, but honestly, that's what happens when you try to maintain a double life. She wanted to be single so bad that she convinced everyone she was single. Now she can actually be single and deal with all the responsibilities that come with it. I'm staying with Wade for another week while I look for a new place. It's weird starting over at 28, but also kind of liberating. For the first time in years, I'm only responsible for my own bills and my own choices. More updates to come as this situation develops. Update 2. Things have escalated significantly since my last update, and I'm honestly shocked by how desperate and manipulative Sloane has become now that her safety net is gone. First, let me address what happened when she came back from her weekend trip. Wade has a security camera at his apartment complex, and Sunday night around 11 p.m., we saw Sloane's car pull up outside. She sat there for about 20 minutes before getting out and walking around the building, trying to figure out which apartment was his. Wade and I watched from his window as she called my phone repeatedly, pacing around the parking lot. Eventually, she gave up and left, but not before leaving a note on Wade's car that said, "Jace, please call me. We need to talk. This is all a huge misunderstanding." Monday morning, I went to my supervisor at work and explained that I was dealing with a personal situation and might need extra security awareness in case my ex-girlfriend tried to contact me at work. My supervisor was cool about it and said they'd keep an eye out. Good thing I did, because Tuesday night around 2 a.m. during my shift, Sloane showed up at the office complex where I work. I was doing my rounds when I got an alert that someone had entered the parking garage. Our security cameras caught everything. Sloane walked right up to the main entrance and started banging on the glass doors, trying to get my attention. When I didn't respond, she went back to her car and just sat there with the engine running for over an hour. I called my supervisor and building security, and they reviewed the footage the next morning. Seeing her on camera like that, looking desperate and unstable, really drove home how little I actually knew the person I'd been living with for 6 years. What really bothered me was how calculated her approach was. She knew my work schedule, knew I'd be alone, knew I couldn't just leave my post. She was trying to force a confrontation in a place where I couldn't easily escape or avoid her. Wednesday, I got a text from Knox. "Dude, Sloane showed up at my apartment asking if I knew where you were living. She was crying and saying you abandoned her and took everything. Is that true?" I called Knox back and explained the whole situation, the lies about our breakup, the financial manipulation, the double life. His response was exactly what I needed to hear. "Jesus, Jace, I had no idea. The way she talked about you guys breaking up, she made it sound like it was mutual and you were both moving on. She never mentioned that you were still paying rent and living together. What exactly did she tell you when she came to your place?" "She said you guys had a fight and you moved out without warning and took all the furniture and left her with bills she couldn't afford. She asked if she could crash on my couch for a few days until she figured things out. And what did you tell her?" "I told her no. After what you told me about the lying and cheating, I'm not getting involved in this drama." Knox wasn't the only one she tried to manipulate. Over the next few days, I got messages from several mutual friends saying Sloane had contacted them with variations of the same story. I'd suddenly abandoned her, left her with bills she couldn't pay, and taken furniture that was ours rather than mine. What she didn't expect was that these friends would fact-check her story with me. Every single person who reached out got the truth about what had been happening, complete with screenshots of her dating profiles and photos of her with Dex. The response was universal. Nobody wanted to get involved in helping someone who'd been lying and cheating for months. Thursday morning, Mara called me. "Jace, I need to tell you something about Sloane that I think you should know." "What's that?" "She came to stay with me last night because she got evicted from the apartment. While she was here, she was on the phone with someone, I think it was Dex, and she was talking about how this was all part of her plan." "What kind of plan?" "She said something about how she'd been planning this transition period for over a year. That she needed to keep things stable with you financially while she figured out what she really wanted. She said she never expected you to just disappear completely because you're too nice and would always take care of her." I felt sick hearing this. She planned this for a year? That's what it sounded like. She was complaining that Dex doesn't want to move in together now because he doesn't want the drama of dealing with her ex-boyfriend situation. She seemed angry that her plan backfired. So there it was. Sloane hadn't been confused about what she wanted or going through a rough patch in our relationship. She'd been systematically planning to replace me while using me as financial and emotional support during her transition. She'd kept me around as a safety net while she built her exit strategy. The most satisfying part of Mara's call was what came next. "Jace, I wanted you to know that Mom and I aren't going to help her financially anymore. After learning the truth about what she was doing to you, We're both disgusted. She's 26 years old, and she needs to learn to take care of herself instead of manipulating people who care about her. I appreciate that, Mara. I really do. She's been lying to our whole family for months, making us think you were controlling and abusive when you were actually supporting her the entire time. That's not okay. The final piece of validation came yesterday when I talked to the manager at the boutique where Sloan works. I needed to update my emergency contact information for insurance purposes anyway, so I mentioned that Sloan and I were no longer together. "Oh, that's too bad," the manager said. "Though I have to say, it explains some things about her behavior lately." "What do you mean?" "She's been calling in sick a lot more often, and when she is here, she spends most of her time on her phone texting. We've had to talk to her about customer service complaints because she's been distracted and rude to clients." "How long has this been going on?" "Since around February, I'd say. Right around the time she started talking about this new boyfriend she was seeing." Even at work, Sloane's focus had been on her double life rather than her responsibilities. She'd been coasting at her job while I carried the financial burden of our shared life. I'm settled into a studio apartment now. Nothing fancy, but it's clean and affordable and completely mine. Rusty loves having his own space again, and honestly, I'm sleeping better than I have in months. I know Sloan is struggling now that reality has hit, but that's the consequence of trying to manipulate multiple people for your own convenience. She wanted the freedom of being single while keeping the security of our relationship, and when I discovered the truth, she lost both. Final update coming once I'm completely settled, and this drama is behind me. Final update. It's been over a week since I disappeared from Sloane's life, and I'm finally ready to share how this all concluded. The aftermath has been even more revealing than the original discovery, and it's confirmed that leaving the way I did was absolutely the right choice. First, an update on the practical stuff. I'm fully moved into my studio apartment, and it's amazing how much peace of mind comes with knowing that every bill, every piece of furniture, every responsibility is mine alone. No more wondering if I'm being taken advantage of or supporting someone else's secret life. Rusty has adapted perfectly to our new place. He seems calmer too, which makes me wonder if he was picking up on the tension in our old apartment that I was too blind to see. But the real conclusion to this story is what happened with Sloane's increasingly desperate attempts to get me back once she realized how dependent she'd been on my stability. Last Thursday, she somehow got my new address. I'm still not sure how. I didn't give it to anyone except my work and my landlord. She showed up at 7 p.m. just as I was getting home from class, standing by my car in the parking lot. "Jace, please, we need to talk. You can't just throw away 6 years without giving me a chance to explain." I stood there looking at her, this person I thought I knew, and felt absolutely nothing. No anger, no sadness, no nostalgia. Just empty. "There's nothing to explain, Sloan. You made your choices over the past year. Now you get to live with the consequences. It wasn't what you think. I was confused about what I wanted, but I never stopped caring about you. You were confused for an entire year? You were confused when you were making dating profiles with our photos? You were confused when you told your family I was controlling you? You were confused when you were planning your transition period while I paid all our bills?" Her face went white. She hadn't expected me to know about the family lies or the year-long planning. "How did you? Who told you that? Does it matter? The point is, I know who you really are now. I know that our entire relationship was just a convenience for you while you figured out what you actually wanted. That's not true. I loved you. I still love you. I just needed some space to figure things out." "Space? You had plenty of space, Sloan. You had space to date other people. Space to lie to everyone about our relationship status. Space to use my income while you played house with someone else. What you didn't have was the honesty to tell me what was happening." She started crying then, but it felt performative. Like she was trying to trigger my protective instincts rather than expressing genuine emotion. "I made mistakes, okay? But we can work through this. We've been together for 6 years, Jace. That has to mean something. It would mean something if those 6 years had been honest. But I have no idea how much of our relationship was real, and how much was just you using me as a safety net." "I wasn't using you." "Really? Then why did you keep me around while you were building a relationship with Dex? Why did you let me pay all our bills while you told your family you needed money? Why did you lie to everyone about our status unless you were getting some benefit from keeping me in your life?" She couldn't answer any of those questions, which was answer enough. The conversation ended with her begging me to reconsider, promising she'd end things with Dex, promising she'd be honest from now on, promising she'd change. But promises from someone who'd been lying for a year mean nothing. Sloane, even if you were sincere about changing, which I doubt, the trust is completely gone. I can't be in a relationship where I have to constantly wonder if you're telling me the truth or planning your next exit strategy. So that's it? You're just going to disappear on 6 years like it meant nothing? I'm not disappearing on 6 years. I'm walking away from someone who disappeared on 6 years while pretending to still be in the relationship. That was the last time I saw her. Over the weekend, I heard through Knox that the situation with Dex had fallen apart. Apparently, once he realized the drama involved Sloane lying to and financially manipulating her live-in boyfriend, he decided he didn't want to be part of that mess. He told people at a party that he thought Sloane was actually single and that he wouldn't have gotten involved if he'd known the truth about her living situation. So now she's lost both relationships and has to deal with the financial reality of supporting herself for the first time in years. Mara texted me yesterday with the final piece of information I needed to close this chapter. Sloane moved back home with Mom and Dad. She's been telling everyone that you stole all the furniture and trapped her financially, but Mom shut that down real quick. Mom told her that if she was old enough to lie and cheat, she was old enough to deal with the consequences without playing victim. She keeps asking if we think she should try to get you back, and we keep telling her to focus on learning how to be honest and independent, instead of looking for another person to take care of her. That's exactly what I needed to hear. The people who matter most in this situation, the mutual friends, the family members who actually know what happened, can see through Sloane's manipulation and victim narrative. Looking back, I can see so many red flags I missed. The way she'd never suggest paying for dates or shared expenses. The way she'd get defensive if I asked about her weekend plans. The way she'd frame every conversation about our future around what I could provide for her rather than what we could build together. I think the relationship had been one-sided for a lot longer than just the past year. I was just too invested in the idea of what we were building to notice that she wasn't actually building it with me. The hardest part of this whole experience wasn't losing Sloane, it was realizing how little I'd valued myself. I'd been so focused on being a good provider and a supportive partner that I never asked myself if I was getting the same energy back. I'm 28 years old, I've got a stable job, I'm finishing my degree, I've got my own place, and my dog and friends who actually respect me. For the first time in years, I'm excited about my future, instead of just trying to maintain someone else's comfort. The right person won't view you as a safety net or a transition plan. They'll view you as a partner worth being honest with.